Why play Vel'Koz Support? Well, he has insane long-range poke. From early in the game, he can one-shot carries, he has low cooldowns and very low mana costs, and he can blow up tanks and squishies alike. However, he is incredibly skill-shot reliant for his damage, and he lacks any mobility being squishy if caught. Vel'Koz's passive is his abilities apply stack for 7 seconds. After an enemy has been hit by 3 abilities, they take a decent chunk of true damage. These passive stacks can have their durations refreshed by hitting them with another ability or basic attack. Vel'Koz's Q is a straight-line skill shot which deals damage and applies a large slow to the first enemy hit. Once it reaches max range, or if it's recast before it hits max range, the ability will split into 2 projectiles at 90-degree angles, which will apply the main effect. In addition, if this hits and kills an enemy, he restores half the mana. Vel'Koz's W is a straight line skill shot which deals damage to all enemies hit and leaves an area on the floor. After a short delay, this area will explode to a large chunk of extra damage. This ability can have 2 of these stored at one time, and both the initial W and the explosion afterwards apply a stack of his passive each. Vel'Koz's E is a skill shot which throws a circle onto the floor. When this circle lands, enemies within are damaged, knocked up, and stunned. If this ability is used on an enemy who is close, it will also slightly knock them back too. Vel'Koz's ultimate has a passive where when he applies his 3-stack passive on an enemy champion, they are researched for 7 seconds. The active is a straight line skill shot which roots him in place as it's channeled. It shoots out a large beam of damage which deals damage every 1/5 of a second and applies a slow. This will keep applying his passive with each tick, and in addition, enemies who have been researched take true damage rather than magic damage. For combos, your main go-to is to use E into WQ. If you can also follow up with an auto attack into another W, it's a massive amount of damage with your double passive proc. And your simple one-shot combo is simply to use EWQ and then ultimate afterwards and watch them melt. For matchups, he does incredibly well into enchanter supports who don't have strong enough a gauge, and he can easily bully. However, he can struggle against champions who can easily engage on him. For runes take this, your Q slowing makes Comet brilliant. For build orders, start Spell Thief and Pots into Ludens and tier 2 boots. Liandry's also works incredibly well if you're against more tanks. After this, a Shadow Flame and Zhonya's are great pickups before finishing your build with any of these as needed. For skill order, start Q then W then E before maxing Q then W then E, taking ult whenever you can. For summoner spells, take Flash and Heal, but if your carry is going Heal, Ignite, Exhaust or Barrier are all great too. Starting the game, your main focus is going to be throwing out a ton of incredibly annoying poke and harass damage. At this point in the game, you're always incredibly strong. At level 1, your Q is great damage, a very annoying slow, and very easy to hit if they're behind minions or not. At level 2, QW combo means you can potentially proc your passive for massive damage. And at level 3, you now have your massive burst combo. But even at level 4 and 5, getting another point into Q makes your poke do insane damage. And that's before you hit your level 6, where you now have insane one-shot threat. Your Q is very cheap to use and does such good damage that you should use it as often as possible. Enemies will often hide behind minions, so looking for those angle slander Q will keep them guessing if they're safe or not. Keep poking away until they're in range of you landing your full combo and exploding them. Keep positioning safely depending on your opponent's engage, and keep being incredibly annoying. Entering the mid game, you're looking to take your tower as fast as possible and roam mid with your carry. This puts the two of you in a great position to siege, where Vel'Koz absolutely excels, dealing tons of poke damage and getting easy damage on towers. In addition, it also puts a very strong lane in the center of the map to roam for easy objectives and skirmishes. Entering late game team fights, despite being a support, you want to play the backline mage. Before a fight starts, spam out as much poke as possible, and when it does start, spam out all your damage into anything you can, as you still deal great damage to tanks. Save your E to protect yourself or use it in your one-shot combo.